In this video, we're going to cover how to go about selecting the right areas within your market and why that's so important for having success when investing with Section 8. So let's jump in. So once you've done the legwork to select the right market to invest in, if you've taken a look at all the different market factors and locked in on one that you have a lot of confidence, you'll be able to maximize your cash flow and have the best experience. You're not done yet. You still need to lock in the best areas in that market to invest in to ensure you're successful. When you're investing in real estate with Section 8 as your exit strategy, invariably you're gonna come across deals in what are considered less desirable areas. The hood, high crime areas where the price of purchasing homes is considerably lower than other areas. These are areas that people don't want to live, they want to move away from and live somewhere else. And this is the key point to really hammer home in this area. And something that you'll hear me reiterate and repeat a lot because it is so important to understand and can be so tempting to neglect in certain instances. And that is fundamentally what your strategy must be to maximize your success is landing high quality properties in high quality areas where high quality tenants want to live. Do not invest in the hood. Don't do it. Resist the temptation to be seduced by these unbelievable deals that you'll see there, and have the objectivity to see and realize just why those deals exist. That dirt cheap property you see in the hood is dirt cheap for a reason. If you invest in the hood, you will have hood problems. Believe me, take my word for it. Learn from my mistakes. Do not do that. Not only will you have hood problems, your tenants will have hood problems. And if your objective is landing a high quality tenant, you're going to have a really tough time doing that if your property is an area that's not desirable. High quality tenants want to live in high quality properties in high quality areas. It's as simple as that. You get a bad tenant in your property, you're going to have a bad time. Even if you get a good tenant in your property, if it's in an area, you're going to have a bad time, and so are they, and they're going to get out of there as soon as they can. So avoid all of that by being a professional and being smart. Do not invest in the hood. And if you don't believe me, you don't want to take my word for it, go ahead, make the mistake for yourself, learn the lesson for yourself. Sometimes that's just how we learn. And then come talk to me after, we can share some war stories. But if you want to skip all that and learn from the experience of others, don't do it. You want to invest in properties that are in areas that people want to live. If a voucher holder has a choice between your property that's in a bad area and another property that's in a good area, they're going to choose the one in the better area. So even if you think you're capable of dealing with the problems that may come up, or you're willing to take on that risk, consider heavily, if nothing else, your ability to land the best tenant. Overall, think about it like this. The property that you're renting out, is it in an area that you would live in? That doesn't mean it needs to be an area that's your dream location or you want to live in per se, but would you live there? Would you feel safe raising a family there? These are the same things that your prospective tenants are going to be asking themselves when they're looking at different properties. Now, that being said, and this is where it all comes together, you're not necessarily going to be wanting to invest in the A-class areas either, because you're not going to cash flow there. The sweet spot with this strategy and where you really want to land properties is the in-between areas. So the areas that are outside of the war zones, but also not in the super ritzy, expensive areas, where you can still land quality deals at quality prices and obtain rents that give you a really nice price to rent ratio and a really good cash flow without breaking the bank, but still allowing you to attract high quality tenants. That's the sweet spot. That's where you're going to have your most success. That's where your discipline is really going to come into play to avoid the allure of those bad deals in bad areas that look good, and ensure you're consistent with the principle of maintaining a high quality property in a good area where someone would want to live. So outside of the hood, outside of the war zones where there isn't a lot of crime, and you can still land a great deal and get that max payment standard, so your cash flow is where it needs to be, while having a high quality tenant in place with less headaches. You're gonna get tempted by those deals in the hood that look really good, and once you get into them, you're gonna realize why that deal was so good. So heed this warning and make this a fundamental aspect of your strategy. Overall, selecting the right areas within a market is going to come down to your knowledge of the market. So if you're living in the market that you're investing in, you'll already know the market, or should, and will be really well positioned to make these determinations. If this is something you're doing remotely or virtually, you won't have that same level of insight. So this is where you'll lean heavily on your team to ensure you make the right decisions, and why building the right team is so important. Your team are going to be the ones telling you what areas to avoid, telling you what areas have potential, and everything in between. They are your boots on the ground. They're your eyes and ears, your subject matter experts. And if they're not, find people who are. If you got a property manager who's a local, who can tell you street by street, block by block, what areas to avoid, you're in a really good spot. Your people in the area should know the area to a T. I'm talking about to a neighborhood, to a street, to a block, sometimes even to a property, because that knowledge is the same knowledge that the Section 8 voucher holders who are also locals are going to hold. Additionally, to looking at the crime, you want to look at those standard real estate variables on the micro or local level: schools, traffic, amenities in the area. Is it close to things that people need to regularly go to, like food stores? Are there parks? Is there an overall attractiveness to the area? Is it a nice place to live in the sense of having a family there, things for your kids to do? On the business side, you want to spot check different zoning applications. Is it a flood zone? If you need work, are there specific permits that you'll have to acquire in that area? All of these things combined are what's going to make up the desirability of the area. Remember, if a tenant has a choice between a home in a bad area and one in the good area, a high quality tenant is going to choose that one in the good area. And it's not just the location that's best for you, it's the location that's best for the person who will be living in your property, which ultimately is going to be the one that's best for you as well. So when you're in an area that meets these standards, you're in a really good spot to have the most success possible. And if you're getting seduced by these deals in the hood, you're just taking on additional risk and making things a lot harder for yourself down the road, which isn't the end of the world. And there are ways to mitigate and navigate these situations, which we'll cover. But you really want to understand what you're getting into and what you're limiting by doing that. So high quality properties in high quality areas to attract high quality tenants by simply investing based on whether or not someone would want to live there. And with that, I'll see you on the next one.